First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA QADASH. All praises, blessings, honors be to the Most High. His true name is YAHAWAH, whom the world ignorantly calls God. BAHASHAM simply means in the name. YAHAWASHI is whom the world ignorantly and fraudulently calls Jesus. His name is YAHAWASHI. Shalom to the Lord's elect. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Much respect to my fellow laborers that teach, preach, and prophesy in the true doctrine of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. There could only be one truth. And double honors to the elders, the bishops, and the apostles of the great millstone who taught me this truth. I want to thank the Most High, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, for giving me the inspiration, the Holy Spirit, the RAWCHAA QADASH in the Paleo-Hebrew town to do this lesson. YAHAWAH willing, this lesson will be edifying and to the point. And this lesson was inspired by the recent visits that President Vladimir Zelensky has made his full stops. He stopped in to see the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, before he stopped by Mar-a-Lago to see Donald Trump. So I'm gonna play a little video here. I don't own this video. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Contrary to 107 of the Copyright Act, allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, scholarship, and teaching. I don't own this video. This video is owned by Times News. I'm not making any monetary gain from this video. Fair use, fair use, fair use. So this is Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky touching down in Canada to meet it with Prime Minister Mark Carney. Stand by.
Heads up.
Thanks so much. Good to see you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you for taking this time. This at a crucial moment in this process. Under President Zelensky's leadership, we have the conditions, the possibility of a just and lasting peace. But that requires a willing Russia. And the barbarism that we saw overnight, the attack on Kyiv, shows just how important it is that we stand with Ukraine during this difficult time, and that we create the conditions for this just and lasting peace and a true reconstruction. We've provided military assistance, further military assistance. We're announcing today further economic assistance for Ukraine, $2.5 billion worth of economic assistance that helps unlock financing from the IMF, from the World Bank, from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, to begin this process of rebuilding.
Dear Mark, Prime Minister, dear journalists, dear Canada, thank you for your support, first of all, and thanks for your the words that you mentioned about this tonight attack. It was really very difficult, hard attack. Russia launched more than 500 drones and dozens of missiles. And this attack is again Russia's answer on our peace efforts, and it's really it shows that Putin doesn't want peace. But we see these steps, and what we need to stop this war in any way, and we need two things: pressure on Russia and sufficient strong support for Ukraine.
Man, he said a lot in that there was a lot discussed there in this short clip. He said, where's he said? This is what Carney says.
That requires
okay.
We have the conditions, the possibility of a just and lasting peace.
They have the conditions of a just and lasting peace. Something to that effect. He says we have the conditions of a just and lasting peace. And that's why I open up with that precept there on the board. It says Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 25. It says destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and they shall be none. So they think that they are calling the shots. They are not calling the shots. See, this is the allegiance right here. You see, those hand symbols. But see what he said, that Canada gave Ukraine an additional 2.5 billion of taxpayers' money to continue for aid and military stuff, and even all the money that they're pouring in, they still can't defeat Russia. You see, he said out of his own mouth, Zelensky says Russia launched over 500 drones yesterday alone and a whole bunch of attacks. So this is going to all tie in to the lesson, Yahawah willing, and I'll show you another video shortly. But this is just showing you that all these nations here are gearing up together to fight Russia, and that's prophecy. And ultimately, they are against America because Trump is really calling the shots in the West, you know, in terms of these world leaders. Play some more.
But that requires a willing Russia. And the barbarism that...
And Russia has made it clear, they already established their stance. It has made it clear it's the West, the collective NATO, EU, and the West. They are split in their decision making.
We saw overnight, the attack on Kyiv, shows just how important it is that we stand with Ukraine during this difficult time, and that we create the conditions for this just and lasting peace and a true reconstruction.
When they shall say peace and safety. Let's go to this now. So Zelensky met with Mark Carney first, and then he followed up his trip with Donald Trump. So let's go to the one in America, fair use, fair use, fair use. I don't own this video. I'm not making any money from this video. This video is owned by APT. I'm just showing a portion of this video. I'm not making any monetary gain from this video. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Contrary to 107 of the Copyright Act, allowance is made for fair use of 1976. Copyright Act of 1976, fair use, fair use, fair use. Stand by.
In a shocking turn of events, US President Donald Trump has raised doubts about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's latest peace proposal to end the war with Russia, signaling that any progress would require his approval. Speaking ahead of a Sunday meeting with Zelensky in Florida, Trump told Politico,
"The Ukrainian leader doesn't have anything until I approve it, so we'll see what he's got."
The remarks nonetheless highlight the influential role Trump sees for himself in shaping the prospects of a settlement between Ukraine and Russia. Zelensky is expected to bring a 20-point peace plan to the meeting, which, according to the Ukrainian president, is 90% ready. The framework includes a proposed freeze of the front line in the Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson regions, withdrawal of Russian forces from certain Ukrainian areas, and an 800,000-strong Ukrainian army supported by NATO members. It also seeks US, NATO, and European security guarantees, similar to those outlined in Article 5 of the Transatlantic Alliance.
We're currently on a plane on our way to Florida, United States. On the way there, we'll make a stop in Canada, where I'll meet with Prime Minister Carney. We also plan to hold an online conversation with European leaders to address all issues, inform them, and exchange details of the documents I'll be talking about with the US president.
And that's beautiful, because what is happening right now is that through the spirit, Ukraine, this whole Ukraine conflict has caused Esau's kingdom to be divided, because this is their power structure, the NATO, US, NATO, and EU, and they're all on different talking points. See, because as much as he portrays he wants peace, he wants the war. He wants to fuel the war. He's trying to put it on the Russians to say that they're the ones doesn't want peace, but it's ultimately he doesn't want the peace, because they're getting a lot of funding, and there's a lot of information about this guy and his corruption, because a lot of the money he's funneling through his own pockets. But anyways, nevertheless, the NATO and EU, they're split, and the scripture tells us clear in the book of Mark chapter 3 and verse 25. It says, "And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand." And they are clearly divided, and it goes to show you that this here is this is how you can tell that their kingdom is at an end, and we are at the end of their kingdom. This is an article I was reading from the Hal Turner radio show earlier today, and this is what happens here. Because of the meeting, Zelensky went to go see Mark Carney, then followed by Donald Trump. Listen, this is what the Russians did. Like I said, I always say this in the spirit. NATO, US, EU, they're playing checkers, but the Russians are playing chess, because the spirit of YAHAWASHI is raising up the Medes, the modern day Russians, to be victorious in this battle. You see, to take down Babylon. It says, this is from the Hal Turner radio show. It says, hours before Trump-Zelensky meeting in Florida, Russia explicitly declares no foreign troops. Let's bring up that word for a second here. It says explicitly, in a clear and detailed manner, playing chess, leaving no room for confusion or doubt. In a clear, detailed manner, leaving no room for confusion and doubt. That's beautiful right there. Leaving no room for confusion nor doubt. That's beautiful. All right, let's go here. It says, this is Sergei Lavrov, by the way. It says, Russian Foreign Ministry, Sergei Lavrov, just made it explicit. Any European troop stationed in Ukraine become legitimate military targets for Russia. See that? It says, not concerning, not regrettable, legitimate targets, meaning Russia will shoot. See that? That's a declaration right there. It says, this kills the entire framework Trump teams has been negotiating. Remember, the proposed international stabilization force, the technocratic Palestinian government model applied to Ukraine, European peacekeepers monitoring a demilitarized zone. Russia just said, send them, we will kill them. Here's the strategic calculation. Western troops have been floating peacekeeping forces as answers to how we guaranteed Ukraine's security without NATO's membership. Lavrov's response eliminates that middle ground. Either Ukraine gets no foreign troops, Russia preference, or foreign troops come and Russia treats it as war with Europe, Russian threat. 100%. No peacekeeping, no stabilization zone, no European boots on ground without direct Russia-Euro conflict. That's it. This isn't posturing. Russia already struck Ukrainian facilities and Western advisors present. They've demonstrated willingness to hit targets containing foreign personnel. Lavrov's making policy explicit. European soldiers in Ukraine equals combatants, and that is the spirit that YAHAWASHI is putting on these troops, because the Lord is gathering all these nations. And you know what? Let's bring it out again. The Lord is gathering all these nations to fight. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, starting at verse 1. It says, come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all the things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury is upon all their armies. He have utterly destroyed them, he have delivered them to the slaughter. See, the Lord is bringing these troops to the battle, the final and epic battle of Jehoshaphat. You know, the world refers it to as World War III, but ultimately it is, in the Bible, is known as Armageddon. You know, so I just want to bring out something really quick to the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. I hope that you've been edified. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Shalom, shalom, shalom.